Tessa's POV. The door to my bedroom creaked open. As I stepped inside, a whirlwind of new emotions swirling within me. The unexpected encounter with the green-eyed wolf had left me shaken, confused, and with an unbelievable chance at actually landing a spot in potentially the same pack as Aaron if all goes well with both of our matches. As the door clicked shut from behind me, I found Erin frantically rummaging through her wardrobe, too engrossed to even notice that I had entered the room as she mumbles incoherently to herself in a stressed state. "Erin? What are you doing?" I asked, my voice still shaky from the intense meeting I had just had, as she jumps in fright from hearing the sound of my voice. "Oh God, Tessa! I didn't even hear you come in," Erin exclaimed, whipping around with a startled expression before rushing over to me. "I'm so happy that you're back. I can't believe I even got picked for stage 2. I've been searching for the perfect outfit for tonight. I need to look amazing for stage 3 now. It's so nerve-wracking," Erin complains, hugging me briefly before pulling back. I take note of the throbbing pains in my feet before moving around her to collapse down onto my bed as I recounted the bizarre experience I had just faced. "I'm really gutted that those girls did that to you today. I'm sort of hoping that my date doesn't go too well so that we don't get split up, you know?" Erin plants herself down on the edge of my bed, offering me a pitiful look as I take a moment to steady my heart. "Well, it's funny that you say that, because you won't believe what happened to me after your number was called." I push myself up onto my elbows to look at my best friend, seeing her squint over at me in confusion as she urges for me to continue. "My number actually got announced for stage 2, and I had to go to an interview with that male who you saw me standing with in the hall, and yes, even looking like this." I groan out the loss. Part, as Erin gasps loudly, slapping her hand across her mouth. A moment passes before she releases an excited squeal, standing from her position on the edge of my bed and doing a little jump around. "Please say that you made it to stage 3 too. Oh my. This could be it for us, you know? Both moving away to a new place together. It will be the adventure of a lifetime." Erin continues to yell and clap her hands, as I bite my lip to stifle a laugh from escaping. I still don't quite understand why he actually chose my number for an interview though, let alone stage 3, but he made it pretty clear that I'd better look half decent tonight when he comes to pick me up. I explain, as Erin nods her head eyes wide as she listens to my story. "Oh, and you'll never guess what," I quickly add, fully sitting up when remembering the details from the meeting. "Yeah, what?" Erin urges, as I giggle a little at my best friend's eagerness. "He wanted me to tell him my reason for looking so bad today, and at first, I figured that he wouldn't want to hear it, so I lied and said that I had slept in and didn't have the time this morning." I explain, as Erin squints at me, evidently unsure of where this was going. "But he knew right away that I was lying, and even lost his temper and shouted at me for it too. It was pretty scary. So I was forced to tell him what actually happened with the girls at dance class." I rush out the words, confirming each memory as I recounted them. Erin's hands fall down to rest on her hips as she stares at me wide-eyed. "No way. So what did he say when you told him what happened?" Erin pushes, as I was suddenly thankful in this moment to have a friend like her to rant to after such a hellish day. "He didn't say much actually," I replied, still processing the unusual exchange. "But he did offer me a chance to prove that I can look presentable for stage 3. It's like he's giving me a second shot without actually saying it," I explain, knowing myself just how ridiculous that sounds. Erin's eyes widened, and she squealed again. "Tessa, this is seriously amazing. Maybe he thinks that you're a diamond in the rough. I told you everything happens for a reason. We're both on our way to stage 3, and this could be our chance to stay together forever," she concludes with a firm nod. Despite the surreal circumstances, a small smile played upon my lips. "Yeah, it's just, I can't wrap my head around why he'd even bother with me when I look like this, and he looks like that. There's just something about him, Erin. It's like he's playing a game with me, maybe just for his own amusement, who knows?" I shrug, trying not to get my hopes up too soon. Erin's excitement dimmed a little as she considered my words. "Well, let's just focus on the positives for now. We'll help each other look fantastic tonight, and who knows what'll happen next, but whatever it is, we can face it together," she states, determination filling her eyes before she turns on her heels to approach my own closet this time. As Erin resumed her mission to find us both the perfect outfit, I couldn't shake the lingering feeling of uncertainty. The green-eyed wolf remained an enigma, and I wondered what lay ahead in stage 3 for me. Maybe it's all just a big prank. Who can take the ugly one out on a date and make her think they will actually be picked? "You didn't tell me about who picked you, Erin?" I suddenly say, realizing that we had spent the whole time talking about my unusual encounter with my own male that we hadn't yet discussed her own suitor. Oh, yeah, right. Well, he was sort of quiet and reserved, and didn't smile much either, but I reckon that they are all like that, aren't they? Aaron explains, tossing another dress aside with a groan. I suppose, though mine did laugh and smile at times, more so when he was amused with himself, but he did smile and at least converse with me. So do you think he likes why? Oh, you enough to move on to stage 4? That's real serious getting to stage 4. I state, glancing over the now developed bruises that had been left up and down my legs from my earlier assault. I think so. He did say that I was pretty enough for him, and that he was looking for someone low maintenance, whatever that means. Aaron giggles, as I nod and smile. I sigh once, pushing myself to stand. I guess I better shower and at least give myself a fresh start. I force a laugh, as Aaron nods in agreement. I'll figure out what we can wear whilst you shower. It's currently 3. What time did yours say he would pick you up at? Erin checks her wristwatch and turns to ask. Mine said 7. Oh, and please avoid any dresses or skirts. My legs look terrible with all of these bruises. I could maybe do trousers and heels? I suggest, watching Erin's eyes trail over my bruised legs as she nods once and sighs. Yeah, that will still be cute. Mine said 6, so I'll be leaving before you. Erin pouts, as I approach one of my drawers to retrieve fresh underwear and pajamas to wear after my shower. I wonder where they will even take us? I hum, making my way towards the bathroom door. Aaron giggles, weighing up more clothes options, as I head inside and lock the bathroom door behind me, turning to face the wall mirror before gasping loudly, damn. I didn't realize I looked this bad. Sure, I knew I looked a riot, but since the original incident, and me crying in between, it seemed to have only gotten worse. My hair was knotted and flopped over to the one side on top of my head, and my eyes were basically non-existent, trapped amongst the thick black mascara and eyeliner smears which were coating my eyelids and under eyes fully. You couldn't even see the true color of my eyes thanks to the ruined makeup look I was now sporting. My pinky nude lipstick too had been smeared down my chin, making me look like somewhat of a whore on a one-night stand. My arms hair covered in scratches, pale white and red despite the fact that I had attempted to put a light fake tan on the previous night to give me a glow which had now been completely ripped from my body and soul. There was nothing glowing about me, other than the sweat beads which had formed continuously on top of my forehead as a result of how nervous and embarrassed I had been the whole day. Why in that male's right mind would he want to put my number down, unless it was part of a joke or prank to impress his buddies? I could fully confirm in this moment, after seeing myself this way, that he most certainly didn't see past the makeup and find my inner beauty. Oh no, for it was impossible to find any beauty amongst this mess. With that, I cover my ashamed face in my hands, shielding my sore eyes from the mirror image which currently reflected back at me. Get it together, Tessa. I mumble aloud to myself, throwing my head back and releasing a heartfelt sigh of agitation. All I can do now is take this second chance, regardless of what the true intention was behind it, and show that I can, in fact, pull myself together and look presentable. I grab my face wash first, leaning over the sink as I run both of the taps and waste no time on cleaning my makeup-clad face in a vicious scrub. I blink to find the black water stream running down into the drain after each rinse, before I look back up after the third wash to find an improvement. After my shower it should all be away, hoping that I'm not permanently stained, that is, since that would seriously be just my luck. I strip out of my torn shorts, underwear, and sports bra, leaving me bare before I step under the running shower. The warm water cascaded over me, washing away not only the physical remnants of the day but also the residual unease that clung onto my skin. I used my exfoliating gloves to help scrub away the evidence of my chaotic ordeal, with each scrub making me feel cleaner by the minute. I couldn't help but reflect on the strange twist of fate that had brought me to this moment, preparing for stage 3. Despite how my day had gone, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the foggy bathroom mirror, and although my appearance had improved, the bruises still told tales of the earlier mistreatment. I moved on to my hair, deciding to use an expensive hair mask that myself and Aaron often shared on important days such as this, one in which had been gifted to us by my mom earlier in the year. I let it sit on my head for 5 minutes, allowing for the mask to loosen each knot and tangle, before proceeding to pull my shower brush through my locks, relieved to get most, if not all, of the knots out in the end. I followed up with a shampoo, then a conditioner, before scrubbing myself with the best smelling soap that we had, the smell alone helping to make me feel better about myself. After stepping out of the shower, I dried myself off, appreciating the refreshing feel of the clean towel against my skin. I wiped off the condensation which had formed on the mirror only to find my fresh clean face staring back. Thankfully, it all seemed to have came off now, leaving me with some hope for tonight. I dried off, before deciding to put on some fake tan to help bring back the glow to my pale skin, before I pulled on my underwear and pajamas to head back out into the bedroom. Finally. Thought you were never going to come out of there, Erin teased, looking up from the heap of clothes she was now sorting back into the wardrobe. Sorry. I just needed a moment, I replied with a small smile. But I'm ready to give this my best shot if it means we both get to live together, I state, as Erin flashes me a bright grin. You look so much better already. That wolf of yours will be in for a treat when he comes here later. Trust me, Tessa, you're going to look fabulous. Now, what do you think about this? Erin stands from her position on the floor, turning my attention to the outfit she had laid out across my bed for me. The outfit consisted of a pair of black wide-leg trousers which fitted my butt nicely and had a shimmery shine to them, paired with Erin's open-toe red heels, enabling us to share shoes often since we both sported the same size, topped with a red, off-the-shoulder crop top and red handbag. Yes. It's perfect. Thank you, Erin. Now show me yours, I clap excitedly, nodding my approval at the outfit choice before she moves across to her own bed. Her outfit was a gold mini dress paired with matching gold heels, an outfit in which she had kept aside for special events like this one. Yes. I totally forgot you even had that. It's perfect, I state, as Erin smiles and nods at her own choice. I forgot all about it too, she giggles, shaking her head in disbelief at herself. With that, having our outfits now set and myself now clean and ready to start over, it was time to make sure that we both looked our absolute best for stage 3. I can do this, for both of our sakes. Tessa's POV. One more minute now, and he should be here to pick me up. Erin's mail had turned up just before 6 to take her out on their get-to-know-me date, and off she went, looking as perfect as ever in her stunning gold attire. We never knew what the dates could entail since it was always up to the wolves to decide what they wanted to do, so we were told to look our best and to be open-minded. I didn't see much of Erin's suitor when he had arrived at the door. I only heard his gruff voice say let's go as soon as she had gone out to greet him. But I'd be a total liar if I said I had sort of hoped to hear a "you look beautiful" or any other suitable compliment. However, they were wolves at the end of the day, and a compliment from them was rare. They were proud men who didn't want to seem weak or soppy for no one, which often resulted in harsher treatments towards humans, especially us females. ICH. Check the clock one more time to see that it was a couple of minutes after 7 now, as I paced around the bedroom anxiously in my red heels, back and forth. I must have checked over my appearance a million times by now, ensuring that not a curl sat out of place on top of my blonde head. My makeup was fully intact with over a dozen pumps of setting spray followed by a layer of hairspray for extra measure. Even if I cried tonight for whatever reason, this stuff wouldn't be budging, at least not again today. I had also turned our room into a perfume boutique with the amount of sprays I had put over both my skin and clothes to ensure that I smelled anything but bad for his arrival. I had something to prove this time around, and I wouldn't mess this one up, not for myself or for Erin. Where is he? I whisper aloud, before I gravitate towards my bedroom window, deciding to take a peek outside next. It was now 10 past, and I began to figure that maybe he had changed his mind. I glanced down at the outdoor courtyard, watching a couple of giggling females hang from their dates' arms, the males looking stern yet amused by their company nonetheless. I sigh, seeing no sign of him anywhere, and it is only then that I realize that he probably has no intention of even turning up tonight. Maybe this was the whole butt of the joke? Make me think that I have a chance and then don't show just to crush my spirit that little bit extra today. I pouted a little, folding my arms across my chest in a weak attempt to offer comfort to myself, having been stood up for the first time ever in my life thus far. This feeling does seriously suck. Rejection. I was a fool to rush back here and to spend hours getting ready like I did. I should have known that he would never show. I mean, why would he? He probably has other females to tend to tonight, others who had actually made a great first impression today, unlike myself. Just wait until I tell Erin about this one. It will totally crush her when she hears that it was all just a lost cause. She will be moving halfway across the country, and I'll probably never have the chance at living in the same pack as her ever again. It's my fault. I've ruined it for us both. I check the little wall clock, reading 20 past 7 now, as I sigh and shake my head in defeat. The clock ticked on, and my disappointment only deepened as the long minutes passed, seeming to stretch into an eternity. Doubt consumed me, overshadowing my initial excitement. convincing me that he was never going to show once and for all. I was just a pawn in some cruel joke of his, to offer him some amusement amongst the other perfect-looking females he had seen. The dreams of escaping with Aaron to a new pack began to crumble the longer in which I sat here waiting, and I sniffled a little to deter the tears that threatened to build up in my eyes. I've already cried enough for one day. As the seconds slipped away, I decided that it was now time to change into my pajamas, with it being 7:30 now, and to fully let go and accept that the fantasy of the green-eyed wolf having any genuine interest in me was near to impossible at this rate. I pushed myself to stand back up, moving away from my position at the window and towards my cozy clothes. But just as I was about to reach for the drawer, a sudden, extremely hard and confident knock resonated throughout the room. Wait. My heart leaped, and a surge of hope flickered within me. However, the flood of nerves came crashing back in an instant all the same, reminding me of just how important this date was in order for me to redeem myself after meeting him this morning. In a split second, I abandoned the idea of pajamas and turned to rush towards the mirror for a final inspection. The curls in my hair framed my face flawlessly and held a light bounce to them, and the red heels accentuated my trouser-covered legs, masking how truly short I actually was. Maybe he will appreciate the heels considering our difference in heights. The makeup was still very much on point, and the scent of my strong perfume continued to linger around in the air as I sniffed under my arms to perform a last final smell check. Yep, all smells good. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, he would like me this way, looking more polished, pristine, and what I would say was my best. The knock hammered down against the door once again, causing me to jump. That's got to be him, all right. I inhale a quick deep breath before I approach the door with cautious anticipation, being sure to grab my little handbag full of essentials on my way. As I reached out for the handle and pulled it open, my eyes met a hallway bustling with the restless energy of the large male wolf. Seeing him pacing around while engaged in a heated conversation on the phone, his eyes focused on the floor beneath him and his muscles tense. He was evidently preoccupied, his voice dripping with irritation as he spoke. As I listened in, I couldn't help but feel sorry for whoever stood on the receiving end of the call just by hearing firsthand just how pissed off he was. In his agitated state, he didn't even spare me a glance at first, and so I stood there awkwardly, hovering from foot to foot, my last bit of confidence now wavering by his lack of interest. I don't give a shit, Doyle. Get it done. If you don't fix this, I'll have you and your full family slaughtered. Is that clear enough for you? My eyes widened at his harsh words, feeling slightly scared of the male that aggressively moved around back and forth before me. Was this another game of his? Did he truly have any intention of even taking me on a date, or did he just come here to scare me instead? Because it's working all right. During a particularly fierce part of his rant, his eyes glanced towards the door in which I stood at, before his head aimed to whip back around once again in a double take. The small action indicated that he had finally noticed me standing here for the first time since I had opened the door. The conversation on the phone took an abrupt turn as he cut it short, barking a hasty farewell to the person on the other end. I'll call you again later, Doyle, and this better be fixed by then. Now fuck off, was his words, before he clicked the red button and stuffed the mobile device into his back pocket. He currently wore smart black trousers, a black polo shirt topped with a black zip-up jacket in which he had completed with a different pair of expensive-looking black and white sneakers, different to the ones he had worn originally, earlier in the day. Not to mention the man's scent alone. It was a peppery musk smell which screamed masculinity and dominance, almost enough to send me weak at the knees as it forced its way up and into my nostrils. Wow. After he pocketed the phone, he made sure to take a long moment just to check me out from head to toe, his facial expression hard and giving nothing away. My nerves heightened under his intense scrutiny as I pulled my bottom lip up and into my mouth, chewing it harshly between my teeth, which was a habit I had often resorted to in anxious scenarios. A moment passed, and to my surprise, a nod of approval followed from him next, causing me to release a thankful breath. The stern lines on his face seemed to soften ever so slightly, and a hint of satisfaction flashed across his bright green eyes. Does this mean he's happy? I swallowed the lump in my throat as he moved me aside with his large hand and took it upon himself to step fully into my bedroom next, catching me completely off guard by the intrusion. The air crackled with tension, and I couldn't help but feel confused as to why he even wanted to come in here in the first place. I wasn't prepared for this, or I would have at least tidied up a little mo. So this is where you sleep? He folds his arms, leaving me behind him at the door as he does his nosy around my living space. Why yeah. I confirm, watching his large back, thankful that he couldn't see my reddening cheeks due to having him observing my private space. It's fucking tiny. He suddenly laughs out loudly, picking up a strawberry-shaped pillow cushion that resided on top of my single bed, giving it a single squeeze, before tossing it back down again. He circled around my room, inspecting every detail, his eyes analyzing everything as I shifted around nervously, unsure of what he was actually looking for or what he truly thought of my humble abode. The tension in the air thickened with each passing second of silence, as I remained by the door, fully ready to leave to head out now. It doesn't even smell bad in here. I furrow my brows at his next comment, one in which surprised me. Did he expect my room to smell unpleasant? Well, yeah, probably after what he saw of me this morning, I guess. He took a little pause, before eventually turning back around to face me once again, seeming now fed up with his inspection, which lasted a mere 5 minutes. Since you managed to scrub yourself up well, I guess we better go then? He asked, his eyes assessing me once again as he straightens himself up and beelines towards the door. I all but nod, allowing for him to pass by me before I switch out the light and close the door over behind us both. I wonder what he has planned for tonight. His long strides easily outpaced my hurried clicking steps as we navigated through the hallways to head outside into the courtyard. Crap, I didn't bring my coat. I groan a little, seeing him glance back at me from over his shoulder briefly. Fuck, you are quite short, aren't you? Struggling to keep up? He slows his steps a little, as I blush bright at the statement. As we approached the exit, I sighed out a little when spotting the black sports car, with suit-covered men holding the doors open for us. Wow. I breathe out, stopping to admire it for a moment, having never seen a car so grand in my entire life before now. If I would have known any better, then I would say that this male is living the good life. Maybe he's even a higher-ranked wolf, like an experienced warrior or pack trainer? That would explain the luxury things. Glad you like it, but if you could stop drooling now, then we could leave. He rubs his hands together, feeling the cold air hit us, before he stretches out his arm to gesture for me to climb in as he makes his way around to the driver's side. He's got a serious attitude problem, but after hearing how Aaron's match barely speaks to her at all, I guess that I'm glad to have him at least talking to me. This will be a new experience for me, to say the least. Driving around in a fancy sports car with a male suitor. Just wait until I tell Aaron about this. The night was young, and I had no idea what awaited me beyond the compound's boundaries next. The green-eyed wolf, enigmatic and unpredictable, turned the car on, put his foot on the gas, and off we sped, as I trusted him to at least bring me back home again in one piece tonight, if I'm lucky enough. Tessa's POV, the anticipation gnawed at me as we continued our journey into the unknown. The small nearby town that I knew all too well soon turned into a bustling city as we drove on further, one in which I had never been permitted to visit before. It wasn't long before the car eventually slowed, pulling into a dimly lit parking lot outside a building that exuded an air of exclusivity. Dallas approached us to handle the sports car, and the green-eyed wolf stepped out, glancing at me expectantly as someone opened my door, and I followed him out and around all the same. We approached the classy-looking doors, my heels clicking against the pavement briefly before reaching the marble steps, with the noise only heightening. Welcome to the best food you'll ever eat in this city, he said cryptically, gesturing towards the entrance as I stepped past him to get inside. As we entered, the dim lights and sophisticated decor hinted at an upscale lounge and restaurant. He guided me into the elevator, pressing number 4, before the doors opened to reveal the sweet aroma of rich cuisine filling the air, accompanied by the soft murmur of conversations blended into a harmonious background soundtrack. As we were guided inside, we bypassed many tables for two, as my brows knitted together in confusion of where we were headed. I took note of the many curious stares in which we also received as we walked by, particularly from a nearby table of 7 females, all checking him out and giggling, rightfully so, since they were probably wondering why he's here with someone like me of all people. The green-eyed wolf guided me through a second door which presented a secluded candle-lit table, causing my heart to skip a beat at the romantic setup. The restaurant organized the candles and shit. Don't be thinking that I was up here lighting them myself. He confirms, as I almost laugh but chew my lip instead when taking note of just how serious he actually was about it. I was right when I said that they didn't like seeming soft. He did, however, pull out my chair as I thanked him quietly and blushed, sitting down in it before watching him move around me to take the seat opposite. I turned my attention to the large window, showing us a view of the city below and its twinkling lights. I was given 2 rules for this stage: no alcohol, and no running away with you without signing the paperwork first. He states, gaining my attention as I turn back to him, his eyes piercing into my own. I nod, showing that I was listening to him. As he shakes his head a little, I think that we can at least break one of them. Pick a cocktail. I take it you've never had alcohol before? He pushes the drinks menu into my hands as my mouth pops open a little at the offer. Is this a test? Do I say no? Or will he get pissed off if I don't pick one? Just pick anything, it can be our secret. He winks, as I suck in a sharp intake of air through my open mouth, my eyes darting down and onto the menu to avoid my reddening face. He just damn well winked at me. I'll have the strawberry daiquiri please. I squeak, pointing to the freshest, most fruity choice that I could find. Frozen or normal? He hums, head engrossed in his own menu as I blink a couple of times in thought. At least try to talk more with him, Tessa. I tell myself, before straightening up ever so slightly in my chair. Well, what one would you recommend? I ask, before he glances back up at me, an evident sparkle hanging in his eyes. Probably frozen. He suggests, as I nod and smile a little at the small conversation in which had so far seemed to be going well. We moved on to the food menu next, as he suggested picking small plates of different things in order for me to try a variety of the restaurant's food, which I had agreed to. It made my life easier not having to choose on my own, since I barely understood the menu with it being so fancy. The kind waiter arrived, taking our full order, and I was glad that he'd done all of the talking, considering I wouldn't even know what to say. Let's play a game whilst we wait then, shall we? He suggests, catching me off guard as he leans forward, leaning his elbows on the table comfortably. What game? I nod and ask, shifting a little to get more comfortable. 5 questions. I go, then you go, and you get to ask me whatever you want to learn more about me and I about you. He explains, as I breathe in another intake of his hypnotic aftershave and nod. Oh okay, you can go first. I insist, to give me a rough idea of what sort of questions to go for with this game. Sure, there was obviously much that I wanted to ask him, but whether or not I actually could ask him half of those questions was a different story. Do you always stutter? He poses, going with his first question, which had evidently been resting on his mind. He must think that I'm just some idiot. I feel my cheeks heat a little again, hating that I had been cursed with something as embarrassing as a damn stutter at this age. Only when I'm really nervous or around people I don't know. I explain, fidgeting with my hands to calm my racing heart. He nods once, seeming satisfied with my answer, before motioning with his hand for it to be my turn to ask a question next. Oh crap. I hadn't thought of what one to ask yet. I think on it, deciding to go with the safest of options to begin with, and so I ask him, if you don't mind me asking this, what is your end name? I stared at him, watching him smirk a little, as I ran through a list of possible options in my mind of ones I felt would suit him. Kane. Kane Clark to be full and proper, but you can just call me Kane. He states, my eyes widening a little at the offer. I can just call him by his name? Are you sure? I seem surprised, as he nods and shrugs. It's not that big of a deal. I've took you on a date, so you may as well call me by my name now, eh? He shoots, as I smile a little, feeling that he was really letting me get to know him more. This seems to be going good, at least I think it is. Just before he can ask his next question, the drinks arrive, with mine being bright red and in an extremely large glass which held a slush-like texture. Oh wow. He had gone for a whiskey, despite having drove all the way out here, but I just figured that he probably had someone else to take us back home. I lean forward eagerly the moment that the waiter leaves the table, placing the straw between my lips before I take a long sip of the drink. He watches me curiously, flicking his own short straw around in his glass, shaking his head and looking amused when he sees my eyes light up. You like it? He ponders, as I nod and take another sip again. It's so tasty. I could easily drink these every day. Slow down, human, remember it's alcohol. He scolds with a blunt laugh, as I instantly sit back, nodding in understanding. Let's continue our little game. My next question for you is, what is your biggest fear about leaving this place? He catches me off guard, as my hand shakes a little at such an open question. For some reason I just thought that we would continue asking silly things like your favorite color or favorite animal. Oh, I attempt to string my words together, watching him take a sip from his glass. Be honest, remember that I don't like to sit here and listen to bullshit. He states firmly, sending a nerve-wracking shiver down my spine. Well, I guess I have no choice here but to tell him the truth. My biggest fear about leaving this place is, and never being able to see my mom or Aaron, my best friend, ever again. I confirm, as his eyes pierce through me, showing that he gave me his utmost attention during our time here. That's fair, now you go. he states, as I clear my throat a little. Oh, what do you do back at your pack? I decide that the question was harmless. I wasn't asking to know the total ins and outs of his life, was I? You mean my position? He corrects, as I all but nod and allow for him to steer his answer. I'm up there with the top ranks, just helping to run the pack and whatnot. He shrugs, as I nod, having expected nothing less. That would explain the expensive lifestyle and his commanding aura. I would even bet he was a beta or top warrior, perhaps a third in command. All of those titles were highly valued and he seemed like the perfect man for the job. That's cool. I trail off, before leaning forward to take another little sip from my drink as he watches me cautiously, probably prepared to scold me if I took too much at once again. The food soon arrives, being served on little taster plates of pretty much everything, as the smells alone were enough to cause my stomach to erupt with sudden hunger. As I began to nibble on a particularly exquisite dish first, I thought about how different this night was turning out to be from my initial expectations. Despite having seen him act so cold previously, he had been nothing of the sort during this private dining experience with me. I never imagined myself in such a sophisticated place, sharing a meal with the green-eyed wolf who I could now give a name to being Cain. It suited him. He insisted that I try everything, and to my surprise I actually liked most of the food, despite not knowing what half of it actually was. It was delicious. Okay, if I remember right, then it's my turn to ask my third question? He states, as we continue to pick from different plates. I nod, watching him think on it briefly before opening his mouth to speak. How many children would you want? I freeze, growing suddenly anxious with knowing that the male wolves are known for wanting as many offspring as possible. I begin, before he cuts me off curtly. I'm asking about you, don't lie and try to please me, answer it how you like. He states, as I swallow the lump forming in my throat. Well, if it were up to me, I would say 2 or 3, but I would be open to discuss more further down the line, you know? I explain awkwardly, as he hums at my response, taking another swig of his whiskey. Good answer. He comments, and with that, I feel practically all of the tension escape from my body. I passed that question, without even having to lie to. Shoot. He states, gesturing for me to ask him one now, as we both approach our last couple of questions. What's your favorite sea color? I decide to go with something easy, to break the previous tension which had formed around the topic of kids. Black. He shrugs meekly, as I shake my head in an instant. No, you can't choose black. Let's say that black doesn't exist. What then? I push, as he cocks his head to one side in amusement. You didn't stutter that time. He all but states, as my eyes widen and my mouth drops. I didn't? Maybe I actually feel more comfortable around him already. But to answer your question, if black somehow didn't exist, then I would pick gray. He states firmly, causing me to giggle. Of course he would. With my light laugh, his mouth seems to stretch out into a toothy smile too, before I reach forward to take more sips of my fruity drink. Well, since we are on the topic, what is your favorite color? He ponders, as I think on it. I like pink and red. I confirm my thoughts, watching as he rolls his eyes at me now. Typical. He complains, as I giggle again. Says him, Mr. Gray and black for his favorite colors. That's the most typical answer he could give. Oh, okay, for my second last question. I'll go with. I tap my chin in thought, knowing that I only had 2 turns left to ask anything I wanted. Why did you decide to give me another chance today? The words flow from my lips before I can think too much on them, since it had been a true question I had longed to ask him, to receive a more genuine response. He stares back at me, seeming to think, with one arm hanging loosely over the edge of the chair and the other helping him to lean for support. I'm a very smart man, and when I saw you looking the way you did, I figured that you had been sabotaged, probably due to other jealous females that are threatened by your looks, and therefore I thought you should at least get the same shot as everyone else. That is the law. He confirms his answer, as I blink profusely, unsure of if I had actually heard. I'm right. When I picked you up tonight, looking the way you should have looked the first time we met, it was confirmed. You weren't given a fair chance today, and I don't agree with that behavior, and so I'm glad I chose you. He trails off, surprising me nonetheless with his words. Whoa. Now for my last question. He smirks, an evil glint forming in his eyes as I suck in a breath. What will he choose for his last question? Since he so far hasn't been holding back with me tonight. If I choose you to travel home with me for stage 4, to live with me for 2 weeks on a trial period, will you behave and do as I say? He murmurs, as my palms grow increasingly sweaty. What is he saying? Why yes, the response leaves my lips in a hypnotic trance, fully enticed by the male seated before me. Was he seriously considering bringing me back home with him for the trial period? 2 weeks of living together to confirm whether or not he wants to keep me as his lifelong match. Good, now you go, and make your last question count, Tessa. My name rolling off from his tongue sent me into overdrive, as the butterflies erupted within my stomach. I must fight to hold myself together here. Do you believe in love? I splutter, shocked at the question as it flies out from my lips. Tessa's POV. He pauses, seeming caught off guard, before he finishes the remnants of his whiskey, placing the glass back down on the table before standing up. Let's get you home, is all he responds, leaving me breathless and terrified that I had now fucked up the end of our date. Why the hell did I even ask him that? Of course he doesn't. He's a damn wolf. They don't like being soft. Things had been going so well too. I still couldn't believe last night as the morning sun filtered in through the curtains, casting a warm glow across my room as I stirred, slowly waking up. It felt good to sleep in a little longer than usual, given that why females who had been selected were given the days off from school and class in order to focus on the judgment days. As I sat up, the reality of the situation came crashing down on me as I stared over at my best friend's bed that currently lay empty. The memories of last night played over in my mind like a vivid dream. Kane, the green-eyed male, had taken me on an unexpected journey into the city, treating me to an extravagant dinner and even to my first cocktail. The enigmatic questions we exchanged and the revelation of his full name, Kane Clark, added an unexpected layer to the night. However, I worried that with my final question I had ruined any chance I had at proceeding with him to stage 4. I looked around the room once again, a gnawing worry creeping up into my thoughts. Why wasn't Erin home yet? Erin's side of the room was untouched, as if she hadn't returned last night at all. When Kane had brought me home, I fell straight asleep not long after due to the impact of the tiring day weighing down on me. I had figured that Erin would be home shortly after me, which now didn't seem to be the case. Panic began to surge through me. Where could she be? Had something happened to her during her date? I quickly got out of bed, my heart pounding. The vivid recollection of Kane's last question echoed around in my mind as I gathered some comfy clothes in order to shower and change. The possibility of spending the next stage with him, living in his packed territory for 2 weeks, was daunting and barely felt like a reality at this point. Would he seriously choose me for stage 4? Or does he still have other females to select from? It was all very up in the air and I didn't want to get my hopes up, not yet. But Erin's absence overshadowed any thoughts of my own situation, as I rushed around and headed for the bathroom, deciding that if she doesn't get back by the time I shower and change, I can go over to campus and report her as missing. Gee. Dread filled me as I stepped under the running water, tying up my hair into a bun on top of my head to avoid it becoming wet. I could style my hair into a nice bun today, given that washing and drying it again would take far too long. I scrubbed myself with soap, before washing my face thoroughly with cleanser, deciding that I was clean enough before stepping out to get dressed. We were taught that during the full duration of the male's visit, especially if you had been selected, that we had to look our absolute best at all times, but the thought of Erin being in any danger trudged above all else. Instead, I put on some mascara, fixed my brows so that they didn't stick up oddly, and completed the look with a tinted moisturizer to add some healthy glow to my skin. I brushed my teeth, styled my hair up into a messy bun, which still looked somewhat decent with the help of my curls from the previous night, before I popped on a lip tint to avoid me looking like a corpse. A quick spray of perfume followed by deodorant and I was ready to go, in my oversized black hoodie, black leggings, and sneakers. Great, polished casual was the vibe for tonight it seems. Without overthinking too much, I hastily rushed out of the room. The compound's hallways were surprisingly quiet, adding to the eerie feeling settling in on my stomach. Something isn't right. Was I supposed to be somewhere today? I don't think so. I wasn't told anything of the sort, not that I can remember. As I reached outside, the unforgiving wind beating against me, I hurried my way towards the communal building, knowing that I would no doubt find a staff member hanging around in there. The place again was empty, causing for the goosebumps to rise on my arms. What is seriously going on? Finally, I found someone who might know of Erin's whereabouts, a Judgment Day coordinator assigned to help us humans through the process. Approaching her steadily, I tried to keep my voice fair. LY normal. Excuse me, but have you seen Erin from my year group? She didn't come back last night after her stage 3 date. I explain, slightly nervous for whatever her response would be. The coordinator raised an eyebrow, scrutinizing me for a moment. She didn't return? Well, that probably means that she has already left to head to her new pack for the 2-week trial period like many of the other girls have, she explains, as my mouth drops open a little. With none of her belongings or even a change of clothes? Is that what happens? So has everyone already left? But does that mean we are set for the next pack's arrival tomorrow? Perhaps she will have some luck with them. Now run along. The coordinator concludes, walking off and leaving me standing here alone and frantic. So I didn't get picked, everyone has left. With slumped shoulders and watery eyes, I begin my trek back towards the accommodation buildings. Each gust of wind feeling like a brutal taunt to my character. So just like that, I've lost my best friend? Lost my chance with a male who last night had actually seemed pretty decent. I blame it on the ridiculous last question I had built up the courage to even ask him. Do you believe in love? How damn silly of me. I marched my way upstairs, wrapping my arms around my body for desperate comfort, however finding no resolve from the action, feeling the first tear trickle down my cheek. I've seriously messed things up this time. I'm such a... There you are. I actually fucking thought you had tried to run out on me, despite the fact that you wouldn't get very far. I squeal a little, not expecting to see my green-eyed suitor standing at his full height in the center of my bedroom as he speaks out loudly. He pauses, glancing over me briefly, as by now my jaw had probably dropped and hit the floor. Why the fuck are you crying? He asks bluntly, snapping me out of my trance as I rush to wipe the water from my cheek. I wasn't. I defend, which of course was a lie, earning an irritated growl from him, one in which resonated from the depths of his throat and caught me off guard. Are you seriously trying to lie to me? I thought we were past that shit. He states, temper rising ever so slightly as I squirm under his gaze. And no. I'm sorry. I was just upset because my friend is gone and I went over to report it and they said that everyone had left already for stage 4, and then I thought that maybe you hadn't actually picked me, and that I wouldn't see her again. I admit, with my eyes building with even more tears after each word. He remained silent, watching me, with no emotion on his face other than a serious one. Everybody left last night or early hours this morning because the next pack is set to arrive tonight. It works as a sort of conveyor belt. We all get a couple of days here before we move on to the next campus if we haven't yet found a female. He explains as though it were obvious, as I only nod and stare down at my feet in embarrassment. Did you miss your train? I mumble, thinking up reasons as to why he was the only one still hanging around on campus when the rest of his pack had apparently left. With that, he scoffs, shaking his head and almost smiling at my question. Almost. I don't want to take the fucking train with the rest of them. It takes 12 hours by train when I can fly home for a quarter of that. He chuckles, as my eyes grow wide. 12 hours by train, is that how far away his pack was? So if you want to catch this flight with me in an hour, then I suggest that you pack a bag and we leave here right now, he states, checking his large expensive wristwatch, as my eyes bulge and I immediately jump into action. You won't need to pack everything. I can sort out whatever you forget when we arrive, he states, deciding to take a short seat on my bed as I grab my backpack and begin to stuff essentials in there. Ch's underwear, socks, a picture of my mom, a picture of Aaron, a book to read, a change of clothes, pajamas, my hairbrush, my makeup bag, what else? I stare around, feeling frantic, before I move to grab a jacket from my closet to keep warm. You won't be needing that, I hear him state, as I turn to stare back at him oddly. Is it warm at your pack? I question, suddenly hoping that I wouldn't be facing any more storms for the next 2 weeks. Yes, he confirms, as I smile and nod. Okay, perfect. Maybe I should take a few of Erin's things, since she seems to have left here with nothing. I move towards her side of the room, unsure of what to take as I stare at her belongings. What are you doing now? Kane's rough voice comes again, as I whip around to face him, unsure myself of what I was actually doing. I was going to take some stuff for my friend, because she left with nothing. I explain myself, watching him shake his head before standing up again. No, leave it. She will have everything she needs when she gets there, and if her male decides to keep her after the 2 weeks, he will bring her back to collect all of her stuff. He explains, helping to ease some of my anxiety. Okay, so we will get to come back for the rest. That's a little more reasonable at least. Oh, okay, well, I'm ready. I nod in confirmation, before he wastes no time on turning to walk off out of the room as I rush out behind him, closing the door over in passing. I chew my lip, thankful that I had at least woken up with enough time to shower this morning before all of this. I spot the same black sports car from the previous night parked out front, as I swoon all over again from the side of the vehicle, now glistening under the daylight. "Climb in," he states, moving around the car as I do just that, holding my backpack on my knees. The car ride was tense, the silence enveloping us like an invisible barrier as I hoped that Erin wasn't completely far eking out right now like I was. She doesn't even know that I've been selected for stage 4 with her. She must be so worried considering that I'm not on the train. As we spend